Some of you all are wondering why your blessings are delayed, your peace disturbed, your goals shattered. Let me tell you something powerful today. It's not always the enemy outside. Sometimes it's the voice you trusted, the friend you overshared with, the listener you thought was loyal. But they were a leak in your spirit. Stop giving people the blueprint to your soul and wondering why your house is under construction. God gave you vision, not a microphone. Some things are sacred. And today, we're going to learn how silence is not weakness, it's divine protection. People can't contaminate what they don't know. That means what people don't see, they can't sabotage. What people don't hear, they can't twist. And what people don't know, they can't pray against. You've got to stop making your life an open book when the wrong people are reading it with dirty hands. We live in a world where the moment something good happens, people want to rush to post it. New job, announce it. New relationship, show it off. New business, broadcast it. But here's the hard truth. The more you reveal, the more you expose yourself to unseen battles. Sometimes, it's not jealousy you see, it's jealousy you never hear about. The silent kind. The kind that pretends to cheer while silently hoping you fall. Have you ever noticed how some of your biggest blessings turned into your biggest problems after you told the wrong person? You got the opportunity of a lifetime, you shared it, and suddenly the door closed. You found someone who loved you genuinely. You shared it, and suddenly the relationship hit turbulence. That's not coincidence. That's contamination. Not from your faith, not from your choices, but from the access you gave to people who didn't deserve it. You need to start treating your personal life like a bank vault. Not everyone should know the combination. Some things need to be locked away between you and God. Because what's sacred can't survive in spaces where everything is shared like cheap gossip. Let me tell you something. When God starts blessing you, it's not for public consumption. It's for spiritual construction. And not everyone should get a front row seat to what He's building in your life. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream, a divine dream that God gave him. And what did he do? He told his brothers. He thought they'd celebrate. Instead, they sold him. Why? Because he shared a vision that was too big for small-minded people. He shared a dream that wasn't meant for public display, and it almost destroyed him. Not because the dream was wrong, but because the timing and the audience were. Some of you are giving too much access to people who only pretend to support you, but deep down, they're disturbed by your growth. Let me bring this into everyday life. Imagine you're baking a cake. You mix the ingredients, you place it in the oven, and halfway through, someone walks by and opens the oven door wide open. What happens? The cake collapses. Not because you didn't prepare right, but because someone interfered before it was finished. That's what happens when you share your personal life prematurely. People open the door to your process before it's ready, and it all collapses under their doubt, their negativity, their interference. Another example. Have you ever had a plan, a personal goal, maybe to lose weight or save money or start a side business, and you told a friend, expecting encouragement, and instead they laughed or said, "That's not realistic," or "You've tried that before." Suddenly your motivation shrinks. Why? Because you exposed your seed to someone who didn't have faith for your harvest. People can't contaminate what they don't know, but once you invite them in, their doubt becomes your delay. You've got to protect your peace like it's priceless, because it is. You've got to learn how to smile, how to succeed, how to grow in silence. Not because you're hiding, but because you're healing. Not because you're sneaky, but because you're sacred. There are moments in your life when privacy is not secrecy, it's strategy. There's a difference. And when you understand that, you stop explaining yourself to people who never had the capacity to understand you in the first place. Let people wonder, let them guess, let them assume, because assumptions can't kill what's covered in grace. Stop giving people VIP access to a life they didn't help you build. Stop inviting everyone to your table when they didn't bring a spoon. Because the moment you stop sharing everything, you start growing in everything. God will bless what's guarded. He will multiply what's protected. And most importantly, no one can curse what they never saw coming. Your silence is your sanctuary. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, posting every move, expressing every thought, sharing every emotion, there is something divine about the quiet. Not passive, not weak, powerful, purposeful, sacred. Your silence is not emptiness, it is protection. It is wisdom dressed in stillness. Because when you speak less, you hear more. Not just others, but God, your intuition, your soul. There's a reason the most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the ones observing, thinking, reserving their energy for what actually matters. Think about it. When you walk into a storm, what's the first thing you seek? Shelter. You don't look for a place to shout or argue. You look for silence. You look for refuge. That's what your inner peace needs in this chaotic world. A sanctuary of silence. Not everyone deserves to know what you're thinking. Not everyone deserves to hear how you feel. Some things lose their power when they're spoken too soon. Some emotions are healed in silence, not in discussion. You've got to learn to sit with yourself without the need to be validated. That's where your real strength lives. Because when you stop oversharing, you stop inviting unnecessary opinions. You stop opening doors for gossip. You stop watering confusion. Every time you speak about your struggles to someone who hasn't earned your trust, you hand them the power to misinterpret your journey. But when you remain silent, you allow the process to do its work without interruption. Let me give you an example. Have you ever tried to explain your pain to someone only for them to minimize it? You open your heart and they say, "It's not that bad." Or, "You're overthinking." And suddenly you feel smaller, weaker, doubting your own reality. That's what happens when we give our truth to people who don't have the emotional maturity to handle it. Your silence, in that case, becomes your shield. It keeps you from being broken twice. Once by the pain, and again by their misunderstanding of it. Or maybe you've been in a situation at work, you have an idea, a vision, a strategy. You mention it in a meeting too early, and someone else runs with it. Or worse, they shoot it down before it's even formed. That's why you've got to learn to build in silence, to nurture your thoughts in private. Because when it's ready, when it's strong, when it's undeniable, no one can take it from you. But if you expose it too early, you give others the power to damage it while it's still fragile. Have you noticed how healing often happens in silence? The most painful wounds in your life didn't heal through conversations. They healed through isolation. Tears cried in private. Late night prayers whispered to God. Deep breaths taken when no one was watching. That silence, that was your sanctuary. That was your soul repairing itself. Nobody saw the fight, but you won anyway. And that's the kind of strength no applause can match. Silence is not about being mysterious. It's about being wise. It's about knowing that peace is louder than noise, that stillness speaks volumes. It's in the silence that God speaks the clearest. It's in the silence that purpose is born. You'll never hear direction if your life is filled with constant commentary. Think about how much drama, stress, and regret could have been avoided if you had just stayed silent in that one moment, that one argument, that one conversation. Not because you were wrong, but because not every battle is worth the energy. Sometimes silence is not surrender, it's strategy. You are not ignoring the chaos. You are choosing not to feed it. You are not avoiding people. You are protecting your peace. Because once you understand the value of silence, you start to realize not every truth needs to be told. Not every emotion needs to be expressed. Not every thought needs to be shared. Some things are meant to stay in the sanctuary between you and the one who understands everything, without a single word. Loose lips invite loose energy. When you speak too freely, too soon, and to too many, you open the door for energies you never intended to welcome. Words carry weight, they carry power, they carry energy. And when you speak carelessly, you are literally leaking your own power into places it doesn't belong. You start wondering why your peace is disturbed, why your motivation is gone, why things aren't flowing, but it's because you gave your energy away through words that were never meant to be spoken in that space. When you're always talking, always explaining, always venting to whoever will listen, you're not processing. You're leaking. You're not healing. You're scattering. Loose lips don't just sink ships. They invite the kind of energy that can destroy everything you've quietly been building. You're trying to grow something sacred, but you keep planting seeds in public soil. You tell someone about your dream and they say that's too big. You share your goals and they roll their eyes or smirk. In that moment, the energy shifts. Doubt walks in. And suddenly, you're no longer as confident as you were 5 minutes ago. Have you ever had a conversation that left you feeling drained? Not because you cried or argued, but simply because you overshared. You gave pieces of your heart to someone who didn't value it, who wasn't even listening with intention. And afterward, you felt hollow. That's loose energy. When your lips move without alignment, without wisdom, without restraint, your spirit suffers. You are allowing your inner sanctuary to be invaded by opinions, projections, and invisible judgments. Think about a candle. When you light it and keep it in a closed space, it glows steadily. But open a window, let the wind in, what happens? The flame flickers, dances, sometimes even goes out. Your vision, your purpose, your spiritual fire is that candle. And your words are the windows. You open too many of them and you let it account for. Not all of it comes as a storm. Some comes as subtle breeze, a little sarcasm here, a backhanded compliment there, and slowly your flame weakens until you're questioning what once burned brightly within you. You want to know why some people are stuck in cycles of delay? Because they keep speaking too soon. They birth their visions with their voice before it's ready to live in the world. Not everyone claps when you win. Some are just checking to see if you're still ahead. Not every friend who listens to your story has pure intentions. Some are gathering information, not giving support. Loose lips gave them access, and loose energy is what they return. There's a reason the most spiritual people speak less. They understand the law of containment. The more sacred something is, the more it must be protected. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. And so there's a secret in containment. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. There's a secret in containment. Look at nature. Diamonds are hidden deep, gold is buried, pearls are locked in oysters. Why? Because valuable things are covered, not exposed. So why would you expose the most sacred parts of your journey to just anyone with an open ear? Every time you speak without discernment, you invite energy that doesn't deserve to sit at your table. Even in relationships, romantic, professional, family, there's a time to share and a time to hold back. You tell someone about your relationship struggles, and suddenly they start watching your partner with a different eye. You talk about your financial goals, and someone throws in a sarcastic "good luck with that." That one sentence, it sticks, it lingers, it pollutes. That's the power of energy. Words are never just sounds, they're containers. And if you keep spilling your containers everywhere, don't be surprised when your life feels empty. Your future requires focus, not fragmentation. Every word you speak should build, not leak. It's unconstrained freedom funded with power. And every word you speak should build, not leak. Every conversation should align, not confuse. Loose lips invite chaos into a place that God meant for clarity. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself exhausted, not from working, not from trying, but from leaking energy into spaces that were never assigned to your destiny. Everyone smiling isn't supporting. Just because they clap when you rise doesn't mean they prayed for you when you were falling. Some people smile not out of love but out of curiosity. They want a front row seat to your life, not to cheer you on but to study your every move. There's a dangerous assumption we make when we confuse appearance with alignment. Just because someone is around you doesn't mean they are for you. And just because they smile in your presence doesn't mean they celebrate you in your absence. People wear masks, and some of those masks look like approval, but behind the smile there could be jealousy, comparison, even silent sabotage. A smile is easy to fake. Support is not. Support shows up when there's nothing to gain. Support defends you when you're not in the room. Support covers you in prayer, not just in praise. If you have to constantly prove yourself to someone, explain yourself or dim your light so they won't feel insecure, that's not support. You can be surrounded and still be unseen. You can post a picture, get 100 likes and still have no one truly rooting for your success. You can throw a party, fill a room and still feel alone. Because energy doesn't lie. Only people do. Have you ever shared good news with someone and they said the right words, but their eyes didn't light up? Their body shifted, their tone tightened. That's not support. That's tolerance. And you don't need to be tolerated. You deserve to be celebrated. Look at your life like a garden. Every plant doesn't need to be near every other plant. Some need shade, some need full sun. And some weeds, they grow with the flowers, looking just like them, until one day you realize they've been choking your roots the whole time. That's how fake support works. It looks like friendship. The grass looks like friendship. It sounds like encouragement. But in reality, it's feeding off your light, draining your strength, and smiling while doing it. Have you ever had a dream, shared it with someone and they responded with, "Oh, that's nice," but never brought it up again? Never asked how it was going? Never offered to help? Never celebrated the milestones? That's because they weren't clapping. They were calculating, measuring how far ahead of them you might go. That's not your supporter. That's your silent competitor. You don't need to hate them. You don't need to expose them. Just recognize it. Adjust your circle. Guard your garden. Some people are only with you as long as you stay small. The moment you outgrow their version of you, they get uncomfortable. The moment you start doing what they were afraid to do, they start questioning your motives. Then you 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 start questioning your motive. You've changed, they'll say. Yes, you were supposed to. Growth is change. Maturity is change. Destiny requires change. And not everyone is built to evolve with you. Some people are only meant for the chapter they entered in. Trying to drag them into the next one only delays your progress. Even Jesus had a Judas. Even in the most divine environments, betrayal can wear a kiss. So don't let smiles fool you. Discern who's genuinely for you. Discern who lifts you in private, not just in public. Discern who's clapping with a clean heart and who's clapping just to be close enough to count your blessings. Everyone smiling isn't supporting. Some just want to keep tabs. Some want to stay close enough to witness your rise so they can celebrate your fall. Be wise. Protect your peace. Study the energy behind the eyes, not just the curve of the mouth. Because some smiles hide swords and some hugs hold daggers. Your destiny is too sacred to be surrounded by fake applause. God protects what you keep sacred. When you treat something as holy, divine energy surrounds it like a shield. But when you expose it to everyone, when you put what's precious on public display too soon, you weaken its covering. Not because God has left it, but because you've opened it to hands that were never supposed to touch it, eyes that were never meant to see it, mouths that were never worthy to speak on it. What you keep sacred, God keeps safe. And what you treat casually, the world handles carelessly. There are blessings that die in the womb because we share them too soon. You get a vision, a dream, a breakthrough. God whispers something into your spirit. And before it's even formed, you announce it to the world. You throw it into group chats. You post it online. You ask for advice from people who haven't even managed their own dreams. And suddenly, the energy shifts. Doubt creeps in. Opinions multiply. The voice of God gets drowned out by the noise of people. That sacred whisper was never meant for public consumption. It was meant for your inner altar, not your outer platform. Think about the most powerful moments in life. Birth, healing, prayer. All of these happen in private. When a child is born, it doesn't happen in a stadium. It happens in a quiet room, a protected space. Because sacred things demand silence and covering. So why are you giving public access to your spiritual pregnancy? Why are you letting people name something God hasn't even finished forming? Sometimes, you're not being attacked for who you are, but for what you reveal too soon. The enemy doesn't know everything. He only works with what you leak. You posted that new relationship too early. Now it's under surveillance. You talked about your business idea too loudly. Now it's being picked apart. Not everyone who hears your joy rejoices with you. Some listen to steal, some observe to compete, some smile while plotting your downfall. That's why silence is not secrecy, it's security. Your sacred space is where miracles happen. It's the place where God molds your spirit, tests your patience, builds your character. And you can't do that in the spotlight. Some things need darkness to grow. Seeds grow underground, not on the surface. And just like a seed, your purpose requires time away from public view. Stop rushing the unveiling. Stop trying to impress people with your progress. Your sacred moments aren't for show. They're for strength. Ever noticed how some people move in silence and suddenly they're just there? Successful, grounded, elevated. That's wisdom. They understood that early exposure invites early opposition. They chose to protect what God was doing in their life instead of promoting it for attention. You don't have to announce everything. You don't have to explain your every move. Some wins are just between you and the one who gave them. That's where the real power is. When you and God have a secret language, a quiet covenant. You can't expect divine protection over things you treat as common. If you want heaven to guard it, you must learn to honor it. And honor begins in silence. You wouldn't leave your jewelry out on the street and expect it not to be stolen. So why leave your dreams, your relationships, your calling out in the open for anyone to touch? Cover it. Pray over it. Keep it sacred. God moves in mystery and He reveals in perfect timing. Until then, let your life be the evidence, not your announcements. The holiest parts of your journey deserve reverence. They deserve boundaries. You are not being distant. You are being wise. You are not hiding. You are protecting. Because what is sacred is not for everyone. And what is for everyone is rarely sacred. Treat it as holy, and God will build a hedge around it that no gossip, no envy, no betrayal can break through. Let your silence be your sanctuary, and your sacred be your shield. Your growth requires discretion. Not everything that is blossoming in you is meant to be broadcasted. Some things must grow in the dark, in silence, without the noise of opinions, doubts, or outside interference. Just like a seed needs soil, darkness, and stillness to take root, so does your personal evolution. Growth is not always glamorous. It's private, it's messy, it's sacred. And when you expose sacred things to careless hands, you invite unnecessary damage. Imagine planting a rose bush and digging it up every 2 days just to show people how it's coming along. You'd kill it. It wouldn't survive the constant exposure. That's how your dreams, your self-discovery, your healing works too. If you keep pulling it out for validation, likes, applause, or proof, you weaken what God is trying to strengthen inside you. Not because your growth isn't real, but because it hasn't matured enough to withstand outside energy. You don't owe anyone updates on your transformation. Just because you used to be one way and now you're choosing better doesn't mean you need to explain that journey to those who are comfortable with your dysfunction. Some people liked you broken because it made them feel whole. Some people preferred you lost because it kept them in control. But when you start rising, healing, building, you'll notice silence from the same mouths that used to echo your past. That's why discretion becomes your armor. Your growth isn't a performance. It's not for entertainment. It's not a step-by-step process to be narrated to your social feed or dissected in every conversation. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is move in silence. Let them think you're stagnant. Let them assume you're the same. While they're watching the old version of you, you're outgrowing it behind closed doors. And when you emerge fully formed, they won't recognize you. And that's exactly the point. Every next level of your life will demand a new version of you. And that version is created in solitude. Ask any athlete. Training doesn't happen in the arena. It happens before sunrise, behind gym doors, under pressure, and away from the audience. That's where discipline is forged. That's where greatness is shaped. Your inner work must be shielded from those who don't understand it. Because growth attracts critics just as much as it attracts fans. And the wrong comment at the wrong time can shake your belief. That's why discretion is not distance, it's defense. Have you ever tried to improve your life and suddenly people who never cared before start questioning you? Why are you so quiet these days? You've changed. Yes, you have. And you should. Elevation requires separation. And some people can't handle the silence that your healing demands. But don't let their discomfort pull you back into a version of yourself you're no longer supposed to carry. You don't need to announce you're rising. Just rise. You don't need to post that you're winning. Just win. Look at the caterpillar. It goes into a cocoon. Nobody claps for it in there. Nobody sees the struggle, the isolation, the breaking down of who it was. But when it emerges, it doesn't apologize for its wings. That's how you grow. Privately, patiently, powerfully. And when you show up, you don't explain, you just fly. Real transformation doesn't require confirmation. It requires commitment. Quiet commitment. Daily choices that nobody sees. Spiritual stretching that nobody applauds. And when it's time, when the roots have run deep, when the foundation is solid, you won't have to say a word. Your life will speak. Your peace will glow. Your energy will announce what your mouth never needed to say. Growth that is real is felt, not flaunted. And it begins with your decision to protect it like it's gold. Because it is. If you've ever wondered why your peace felt disturbed after opening up, why your joy seemed to shrink after sharing it, or why your dreams began to feel heavier after explaining them, let me remind you, not everyone is worthy of access to your sacred space. There's a reason your heart beats inside your chest and not outside your body. What's meant to give you life must be protected. What fuels your spirit, your calling, your divine assignment was never meant to be exposed to careless hands or casual ears. Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And privacy, that's your power. In a world where oversharing is a culture and validation is a currency, you've got to remember, peace is the new luxury. The loudest voice doesn't always carry the deepest truth. The most visible life isn't always the most victorious one. Sometimes the most powerful people are the quietest in the room, the ones who speak with their energy, not their ego, who show up with presence, not explanation. You don't have to prove your growth. Let the way you walk, speak, and carry yourself be the evidence. Don't let the noise outside you silence the voice within you. Don't let someone who hasn't paid the price question the value of your process. Protect your story like it's sacred scripture, because it is. It's written by the hand of the divine. You're not obligated to make your pain make sense to anyone. You're not required to unwrap your healing like a gift to be evaluated. Sometimes, the miracle isn't in the manifestation. It's in the mystery. The power is in what they don't see. The strength is in what you kept between you and God. There is a divine glow that comes from a person who knows their worth without having to advertise it. There is a calm that surrounds those who no longer seek validation from crowds they've outgrown. You've got to stop shrinking to make insecure people comfortable. Stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefited from your lack of them. Stop apologizing for outgrowing versions of yourself that were only built to survive, when now you were made to thrive. Protect your peace like it's your birthright. Guard your growth like it's royalty, because it is. And remember this, a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. When you rise in silence, your roar will shake the world without you ever having to lift your voice. When you build in secret, your success will be so loud it can't be ignored. When you walk with God in private, He will crown you in public. People don't need to understand your journey. It wasn't a conference call. It was a whisper between you and the Creator. So let them think what they want. While they're distracted by your past, God is designing your future. While they gossip about what you left behind, you're stepping into what they'll never see coming. You're not here to convince anyone of your purpose. You're here to fulfill it, quietly, boldly, powerfully. So stop opening the door of your heart to every knock. Not every smile is sincere. Not every listener is loyal. Not every friend is forever. Some people come as lessons, others as leeches. Learn the difference and protect your energy accordingly. Be so aligned with your growth that you're okay being misunderstood. Be so in tune with your peace that their noise sounds like silence. Listen to your heart, then noise sounds like silence. Be so rooted in your purpose that you no longer chase validation, because the right people won't need an explanation. They'll recognize your evolution. You are a masterpiece in progress. And masterpieces aren't rushed. They aren't exposed halfway. They are revealed in divine timing, in quiet strength, in sacred power. So stay quiet, stay grounded, stay hungry. Let your silence speak volumes. Let your results make the noise. Let your life be the loudest sermon you ever preach. Because in a world that's constantly talking, the real ones are listening.